Oh good, thank you Nintendo. This is totally what I wanted for a Pokemon game. It's not like everyone was asking for Pokemon Snap 2 or anything. Still, could be worse. They could have made it an early access fighter, like another fighting game we know. Still, it's not that bad. I mean, there's no real footage again, bar the trailer. Again, because Nintendo's Content ID thing is bullshit. Hashtag where's the fair use? And even though they said they would look into making the partnership program outside of the USA, well, I guess they looked at it and that's as far as it got. But hey, let's talk about Pokken Tournament, or as it's known, Enter the Tekken. Pokemon style. Well, this one is rather hard to review or talk about, as everything I can say has already been talked about and shown off in the latest Nintendo Direct. Bill did a fantastic job of pretty much explaining everything. How the game works, the different fighting styles like Machamp and Garchomp being your tanky powerhouses that knock everyone around with lampposts, and Mewtwo and Gengar being like your Psy Troopers in XCOM that launch ranged telekinetic attacks as they can't really afford to get hit, so they launch these telekinetic attacks which do different stats effects, making them more of a tactical unit to play as. So I highly recommend going and watching that part of the Direct that I will leave a link to in the box below, so you can see an in-depth look at all of the mechanics and fighting styles. As for the rest of it, it's pretty standard Pokemon stuff for the most part. Like the music, the overworld/hub world is your normal Pokemon music, and the battles start off as your typical moving on to the champion-like themes as the campaign goes on. So while not innovative, the music gets a pass, even if you will most likely end up putting your own music on and muting the TV, as after hearing the battle music so many times, like in any Pokemon game, it's going to get a bit boring. The graphics, again, are your standard 3D Pokemon affair, like Colosseum or Gale of Darkness. Very nice full 3D Pokemon models with their nicely animated moves, so top notch there. But that's really all I can give it points for. The rest is honestly okay, but nothing I can really shout about. Like, the voice acting is kinda bad. The fact that there is only 15 Pokemon, which for a fighting game is really bad. 16 if you add Shadow Mewtwo, but we'll come back to him later. And the story will last you around 10 hours. So yeah, aside from the music and the graphics, everything else is rather underwhelming. As stated, there is only 15 Pokemon to start off with, which is rather poor for a fighting game. And it's clear why. Considering the way the roster has been picked, Pokemon Tournament is ripe for DLC. For example, we have a few iconic ones like Pikachu and Lucario, who are basically the mascots, Mewtwo, who is also iconic, and Vixen, who is from the newest generation. But then you have ones that are just kind of like Machamp and Chandelure. I mean, really? Where are all of the other cool iconic ones like Dragonite or Lugia or Greninja? I mean, Greninja is in Smash, so why not here? Well, it's clear that they are being saved for DLC. The whole next to no characters thing and the way the game is structured overall feels right for Nintendo and Namco to pull a full EA and DLC the balls out of it, holding good Pokemon like Scyther and Greninja to ransom. I mean, they kind of did it with Smash, where new characters like Cloud and Bayonetta were brought out, and you had to sink like $5 each into them. Only difference is, Smash started with like 48 characters, whereas here there is only 15. So they're not just going to EA it up a little bit like they did with Smash, where it was only 5 or 6 characters. It seems they're going to go full on EA and lock like 30 Pokemon behind paywalls, which is very concerning. And you know it's going to be the cool ones like Scyther. I mean, in the 15 we have, there is no swordsman like Yoshimitsu, or however you pronounce it. And seems Scyther has blades for arms. It's clear that he's going to be one of the DLC characters. Other problems it has? 1. It's pretty unforgiving for newcomers, as in if you've never played a fighting game, mainly Tekken before, then you're going to find it hard to use the more specialised characters like Chandelure. So you will find yourself being forced to use the powerhouses like Machamp and Garchomp, who are for the beginners. But if you are willing to get beat down for an hour or two, you can learn how to use the more special attack Pokemon like Chandelure pretty quickly. 2. The roster padding. I've already been over the roster for the most part and the things wrong with it, barring one thing. That is Pikachu and Shadow Mewtwo. You see, there are 2 of each. There is your Shadow Mewtwo and your normal Mewtwo, just like there is a normal Pikachu and then a Luchador Pikachu. Why? Why is it not just an alternate skin for Mewtwo or a costume Pikachu can wear? Which leads into the next point. Number 3. Customization. With a victory comes money. With money comes shit you can buy. Too bad that any costume accessory is for your trainer that you never ever see. Even Bill in the Direct said,
"Winning a fight in any mode earns in-game currency that allows you to change the appearance of your avatar."
No. No, Bill. No one cares about this Joker. 90% of the time, we never even see him. We are the Pokemon. And if Pikachu gets a costume, why not everyone else? I want to see Lucario prancing around in a pink tutu. Not some stupid human that just stands there in the background of the battles, every so often waving their arms saying, "You can do it." So, money's kind of worthless. I guess unless you take the Splatoon approach and say that 100% means buying every hairband and ring for your trainer. 4. You can only use the D-pad, which is really, really damn stupid, considering even Street Fighter V, now in early access, lets you use the stick. And that's really all I can say on the matter. It's a very basic fighting game, and anything else I'll cover in the final verdict, as it's just a passing note. So, my final verdict for Pokken Tournament is an average 3 out of 5. If you like Tekken and Street Fighter, then you will like this for the most part, as it plays like any fighting game, using physical and special moves to take down your opponent, with each character being built in a certain way to have their own strengths and weaknesses, barring a set few I'll bring up in a sec. And it's clear all 15/16 Pokemon have been tested with each other to make sure everyone is balanced, again, barring 4. With every Pokemon coming with what can only be described as a final smash for massive damage and most likely a KO state, like Lucario going into Mega Lucario and so on. The online connectivity was great. It never hardly went off, barring 1 or 2 times, but that's on par with any server like Splatoon. Being I've got the game early, hardly anyone else other than a few reviewers were on, but when they were, the connection seemed great. Hello PBG, I saw you on there. But beyond that, there is nothing. No real character selection, as it's clear all the good ones are going to be DLC. No real customization except for your stupid trainer, and just standard 3D Pokemon music and graphics. Oh, but it's okay, as if you get it day 1, you get a Shadow Mewtwo card, who is no different than regular Mewtwo. So don't worry if you missed that. Oh, and as for who I mained, Vixen, as she is one of the Elite Four, shall we call them, as it's clear Game Freak has favourites and they have made their poster boys far stronger than everyone else. Pikachu is way too strong for his size and moves, but he's the mascot, so he has to be strong, obviously. Mewtwo and Lucario, as you know all the fanboys of them, so there will be many Mewtwo versus Lucario matches, so they had to be OP. And Vixen, as she is the newest Pokemon, and we still gotta promote and show how cool and awesome the 6th generation is. She is broken to shit. All her magic can be shot from range, making her hard to get to. It reloads, if you want to use that word, quickly, so you can basically shoot magic constantly, and that magic does serious damage. I'm Vixen, and I'm from the newest generation, and all of my generation are as powerful and awesome as me. So why not go buy X and Y and pick me, just so you can continue to see how awesome me and X and Y are. Is pretty much the gist of what she's saying, from how she can completely annihilate pretty much anything. So yeah, 3 out of 5. It's an average fighting game with Pokemon skins and a piss poor selection of only 16 characters, 4 of which are clones, being Pikachu and Mewtwo. Still, I know why. They were too busy trying to grab some of that Skylander, Disney Infinity, Amiibo, Lego Dimension cash with their own set of Pokemon Skylander figures and the game. Roll the trailer!
We've got to have money.
Money is power. If it were food, it's a dish I'd devour every hour. Money is such a beautiful word.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.